What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. So you guys saw in episode 1 of the $250 Honda TRX250x that we were trying to get that thing started to see if it was even worth bringing back to life. Well, luckily for us, we were able to get it started. Now in this particular video, we're gonna go through this chassis with a fine-tooth comb. There are close to 5 to 6 layers of paint that are not only on the frame, but they're on the plastics, on the wheels. So we're gonna go through it, see if we can try to refurbish this thing, bring it back to life. And that's the goal of this video. So we're gonna try to put our hands on as many things as possible to make this thing look right and hopefully get it looking like it was when it rolled off the factory floor. So let's get to it. All right, so we're gonna give this thing a quick wash. Got some degreaser, we're gonna go ahead and just spray it down all over the bike, get it scrubbed real quick, and then we're gonna hit it with a pressure washer. This thing was covered in like 6 layers of paint. You can now see the default stickers. This is a 2017, and this thing is absolutely fucking roached. So against my better judgment, I'm gonna start to disassemble this and see if I can get it at least cleaned up. I'm gonna take off the suspension, probably take off the arms and try to get them clean so they look a little bit better. The rest of the frame, I mean, it's okay for the most part. The back has seen better days. I don't quite know what I'm gonna do with this. I'm definitely gonna take off the hardware and get it, cleaned. Ultimate goal is to flip this as well. And for a 2017, it definitely has seen better days. So I'm gonna try to revive it just a little bit. For right now, I'm gonna go ahead and remove these front suspension parts. I'll come back to you guys. All right, so we got one side off. I'm gonna go ahead and set you guys up so you guys can see the teardown of the other side. And then we're gonna look at the components that we need to clean. Next thing we're gonna do is go ahead and get these stripped down. All right, so I've disassembled the shocks real quick. As you can see, they are disassembled with the top hats, and I put a little bit of paint stripper on them, so we're gonna see if we can clean them up and get them looking back to a silvery finish. So I just put some stripper on them about a minute ago. I did not record the disassemble process. This is basically what I used right here, was the DRC spring compressor. It's a little finicky to use, but it works. And then I've got some premium paint stripper that I believe I got from Walmart. Going to work right now. So this is what the shocks look like. Shocks have been clean for the most part. Not really much paint that came off from the tie rod. Collars as well, and the springs, I'm basically just gonna wipe those off. Right now I'm doing the tie rods. Left and right, they were also spray painted. And I just got some of that premium stripper from Walmart in a plastic bucket, and I'm just going over it little by little. And I've been working on this for, I'd say maybe 5 minutes. And the entire tie rod was painted, but essentially what you're gonna do is just paint it on. And as you keep going over it in stages, the brush is basically wiping the paint off. So I'm doing that on both sides, and I'm gonna keep working on this until they are clean, and then we're gonna kind of work on back anything that looks like it shouldn't be, you know, painted or colored a specific way. On this stuff up here, I'm probably just gonna sand it down so that it's flat, and then maybe just hit it with some more paint again, just so that it doesn't look so bad. It would be pretty much impossible at this point. I mean, I'm not gonna do a full-blown restoration where we are removing the engine and all the wiring to get down to the frame and then strip that and paint that. That's too much. I mean, for a $250 ATV, we're just gonna dress it up and make it look nice, but some of these parts definitely deserve a good cleaning. These are what the arms look like. So these have been stripped down as much as possible. Those are gonna get sanded down a little bit so that they're flat, and then we're gonna get those painted as well. So we got the rear shock off. Rear shock has been cleaned, as you can see here. So both fronts and rears have been cleaned. Now we're gonna go ahead and get to the frame. I'm just gonna try to knock off some of this paint. As you can see up here in the front, we've got a lot of this basically just smoothed down so it's not pitted. That way when we hit it with some black paint, it looks a little bit better. In some of these areas, like right here, I'm gonna go ahead and use the wire wheel. I've got it set up on this drill right here, and I'm just gonna hit it up and down. Not only here, but on the back of the frame over here. Try to knock all that off. So let me give you guys a before and after. All right, quick update. So I've essentially cleaned off the frame as much as I could. Knocked down as much paint as possible, and I've hit it with a coat of Prep All, the wax and grease remover, just to kind of get any left over little dust particles. Overall, it looks pretty good. I'm still gonna hit it with a little bit of the Rust-Oleum gloss black paint for the areas that are gonna be seen underneath the plastics. This is basically what I'm gonna be using. A couple cans here in the garage. So I've got the engine masked up because I really don't want that to be hit with any sort of paint. And I'm just gonna go through little by little, trying to freshen up some of this frame. So here's the update after the frame got worked over. Couple coats of paint, still drying. Of course, we still have the suspension components. I wasn't really sure if I wanted to get the coils or not. We'll look at that later. Exhaust is gonna get hit with a wire brush and some high temp paint. And yeah, that's the frame. So not too bad. Of course, in the front, I mentioned to you guys before, I'm gonna have to weld on a bar going across so I can put the bumper back on. So I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. But so far, so good. All right, so check this out. I am currently stripping down all the paint off the plastics. They are stock white, and just like the frame, there's multiple layers of paint on these. So I'm using some Rust-Oleum aircraft remover. It's been okay so far. So I'm gonna let it sit for a little while and then try to hit it with a pressure washer. So off camera, I did some more sanding on the plastics. Hit it with an 80 grit, then a 220, and then down to a 400. So they're pretty smooth to the touch. I definitely need to get them rinsed off. And once they're rinsed and they're dry, then I'm gonna hit them with some wax and grease remover just to make sure they're completely clean. And then we're gonna do a gray primer and then hit them with white paint again. So off camera, I went ahead and hit the plastic with some high build primer. 1 can basically is all I use at this point, and this is what you see here. All right, what we have here is the stock exhaust. It has definitely seen better days. It's rusted out, it is dirty, and could definitely use a clean. So we got the muffler pretty much cleaned up, got most of the dirt knocked off. I'm gonna hit it with a light Scotch-Brite pad. Got most of the rust off of this one, and then we got this cleaned up. I do need to weld this back to the outside of this pipe. So got the welder out real quick. We're gonna go ahead and throw some tack welds down to get this applied back to the exhaust, and then we're gonna go ahead and get it painted up. All right, here is the after on the exhaust. As you can see, it is shiny black. This is VHT, good for up to 500 degrees. In my opinion, I think it's better than what the stock was. I think the stock was more like a matte black, but this is the finished look for the exhaust. So let me know what you think in the comments. So we're gonna go ahead and try to get this seat repaired. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna strip off all of the current fabric, if that's what you wanna call it, that is currently on the seat. We're gonna get it down to just the base foam, and then we're gonna go ahead and build the foam layer back up. These are the materials that are going over the top. So this is the seat cover, considered a gripper seat cover. This is the polyfill material that's gonna go over the top. I'm gonna use smaller like fill foam that I'm going to put over the top and then kind of sand down smooth, so it's just a little bit more filled in these areas. You can kind of see over time, because it's just sitting out in the sun, and yes, this is still whole, it's not as soft and plush as I'd like it to be, but it's still holding up pretty well, not really flaking off like you'd expect it. So I'm gonna do this off camera. It's just gonna be a real quick change, and I'm gonna show you guys the after. Okay, second update on the seat. So basically, you guys remember, first part of it, there was basically large chunks of the seat that were taken out. I went ahead and used some of this expanding foam, and it's pretty legit. I mean, this stuff basically has like the same consistency as this. It's probably not as tough, but it'll do the job to basically fill any indentions or voids that are in the seat right now. I went ahead and sanded it down so you guys couldn't see it clearly because it was off camera, but the foam was piled up pretty high because it expands. I took a razor blade, cut it flat, and then from there I worked it with 80 grit sandpaper. Here's the layer of polyfill over the top. So now we're gonna go ahead and put on the actual seat cover, and that'll get stapled to the plastic. And here's the after product. This thing has been rewrapped. Needs to be slightly cleaned, but not too bad. The cover was just a little bit oversized, so you can see I had to stretch it to not only get it to line up from left to right, but just to make sure that there was no creases or sagginess, I had to kind of pull this down tight. I mean, clearly if you've done this before, you know what I'm talking about, but get this on the front. It's nice and good, nice and straight in the back. Let's not forget that we have the brake dust shields fully painted as well. I'm gonna go ahead and knock down the paint on these wheels. They were kind of beat up, and I'm gonna go ahead and refurbish the paint on them. Now I'm gonna show you guys what I'm gonna be using. Antique brass metallic. Now I've used this paint color before. For those of you guys that are watching from the old videos, my Honda Accord that I used to have, I had black shiny wheels, and I painted those with this exact paint. And man, it was probably some of the best color combinations that I've ever done for a wheel and tire setup on a white car. All right, so this is the final look of the wheel. right, so that pretty much does it for this video. Next video, we're gonna go ahead and put all of these parts onto the ATV. Everything that you've seen up into this video, up into this point, that's been done, which is the wheels, the plastic, the seat, the muffler, the shocks, the frame of the ATV. All of this stuff is going to get put onto the bike on the next video, along with some of the newer parts, which is going to be the dash where the neutral and reverse light go. We've got this Alba Racing front bumper. We've got the grips that are going to be going on there. So we got a bunch of stuff that we're going to try to put on there, try to make this bike look brand new. The only thing that I have not been able to acquire so far is a new headlight. The existing one that I had that I tried to clean didn't turn out the best. Still trying to work that out, but for right now, this is what you're seeing. Hopefully this video, gave you some ideas on what to do to your ATV just to kind of spruce it back up. But I'm excited to, get all these parts on this TRX250X and get it back on the dirt. So that's it for today's video. Appreciate you guys watching. Once again, this is Fahrenheit Motorsports. You guys take it easy, be safe out there.